Hello everybody. With Nora November coming up, you guys have asked me over and over again, how do I decide which color fabrics I'm going to stitch my Mirabilias on? And I finally have a minute, and I figured Nora November is coming up. So some of you guys may be starting new Mirabilias, new Nora Corbetts, either one of those lines. So I thought I'd show you guys how I pick out my fabrics. Now what I have here is, I have, this is actually my husband's tablet because I haven't transferred it over to my tablet. But Sarah Renee Clark makes these two things, and then they're called the color catalog. This is called the color cube, and it just has, it's the same as, so you don't technically have to buy both, but I have both because I have an easier time matching it up to a physical object versus using the screen. And you can search this by collections, keywords, or colors. So like keywords, like if I'm painting, and let's say I'm coming up with something off the top of my head, and I need to use, maybe I want it to be a forest scene. So I can click the keyword here, and click forest, and it'll show me all the cards there. Let me see, which one is this? Is this 1 or 2? This is 2. And this is, take these off. Okay, so it'll reference into these. So let's say I've picked forest, okay? And these all, can I zoom in on this? Yes, I can. These all have, you see the numbers that they're associated with? And let's say I like 53 the best. And then I can come over here and I can pull card 53. And I can actually see the colors here, and I can match them up. Now, there's a couple different ways that I will, sometimes I will pull out the floss and see what the most predominant color is, and I will use that color by just, if I go back up here to the top, where's this thing? There it is. I haven't used this tablet in forever, so, and for example, okay, we've got Mirabilia Pretty in Pink. I haven't dyed a fabric for her yet. Her main color is pink. So, and it has different selections here for the pink. You have light pink, hot pink, blush, fuchsia, salmon pink, French rose, so on and so forth. So I would classify her into more like the magenta sort of pink colors. So I would click magenta, and these are all of the color palettes for magenta. On this would be the color catalog volume 1, so it would refer to the volume 1 box. So these are all of the color palettes she has that has magenta in it. And let's say let's go with 84. And I can pull her out. Okay, here is 84. And these are the shades in it. And I will hold it up to here, to the picture. And I'll see if that color of magenta works with this. And it does. And you can see how It also has some of the green shades that are also in here. And this is showing up yellow on the screen, but it's not yellow. It is a lime green. And there's a little bit of that in there. So if I want to make it so that way, not that she blends in, but it gives me sort of like a reference of what colors would look good against this. Like these are colors that are found out in nature that are stuck together, so they will look good together whenever you stitch them. So when I look at this, I could go with this purpley shade as the main color in the background, or I can do like a combination of this purpley shade and this reddish brown shade, and it'll look all right and not be too much of a stark contrast. There's also the volume 2 of the catalog here, which is this one. And I can look in this one and see what shade she has for magenta for this one. And I can just look at these cards and I just sort of pick one that sort of has the vibe that I'm going for. Like this is 282. So you could use your tablet if you wanted to and compare the color shades here if you want to. But like I said, I prefer the cards because I can physically hold them in my hand and I can get them closer to what I'm looking for. And this is what, 282. I can go through here and find the one I want, which is this one. And I can hold this up against here. And I feel like this one actually goes, this is something I would more go. And this is, I hate how these cameras like adjust these colors. This color looks like the exact color that's right here on this pattern. But it's showing up like a hot pink color and it's not. So if I was going to, honestly, what I will probably do is you have sort of this light beigey pink color. You have this blushy color, the darker shade, and then this sort of very dark purple. It's like a purple brown. So honestly, I will use this shade, this color card, to figure out what colors I have of dye that I can use. But you can use this, let's say you're doing a sampler and like a long dog sampler, and you want to not do it in not do it monochromatic, and you want to have multiple shades of colors. And you can pick out, I usually always do it by color because when I'm using this specifically for cross stitch, I will link where you can buy these from Sarah Renee Clark. These physical copies are not cheap. They're pretty expensive, but I think they're worth their weight in gold because you can use this, you know, however many projects you have with cross stitch and you really like your hand dyed fabric and things like that, you can really use it to nail down what's going to look nice on which kind of what fabric color you need your background to be. So that way it's not so, they look good on it, but they're not so poke your eye out. Or, you know, you get to stitching on it and you get halfway through and you're like, yeah, this isn't the right shade whatsoever. Part of it is that I do have a painting background, so I understand color a whole lot. So it might be, but I feel like this is enough. These are enough tools that you can get it. And I know the PDF version of the color catalog is I don't think it was it wasn't too bad. I mean, I haven't looked at the prices for these things in a long time because I bought these things. I bought these as soon as they came out. And then as for this, probably 2 years before that. But let's say you want to start a long dong sampler, right? And you want to do it in multiple shades of colors, but you want the main color to be, let's say, I don't know, what's a good color around here? Let's say you want it to be dark teal. Okay, you're going to click the dark teal. It's going to bring you all to all the different shades it has for the dark teal. And then you guys can somewhat see that. So we can look at all these and see which ones seem pleasing to your eye. Like what one feels like it speaks to you essentially, because that's all it is. And let's say you want it sort of monochromatic, but you want different shades of the same color. Well, here's a good one. And it's monochromatic, and they're all pretty much the same shade. That's $4.75. Let me see. I'm almost there. Right here. So here we go. Here's the card for it. So you can take your flosses and get them as close to these colors as you can, and then stitch from there. And it'll give you a good it just gives you a really good reference, so that way you can match colors and it looks pleasing to the eye instead of guessing. So these are really, really useful. And then so that's how you use that. I hope I explained it good enough, because I'm not really good at explaining things. I don't really need my husband's tablet anymore. But anyways, so we're gonna move those out of the road. This is the one I'm going for. So I take scraps of fabric that because you guys have watched me for a while now. I don't really stitch a lot of smalls. So these scraps of fabric I hang on to, and then I dye them with the dye I have. And these are all single colors, but they're done with, what is it? Procyon dyes. So they're the powder dyes, and a lot of times, like, sometimes I'll do ice dyeing, sometimes it's just thrown in the bath. Most of these I did with ice dyeing, so that way I can see how, like, this is splitting colors. See the orange and stuff like that. Just so that way if I do decide to ice dye, then I know how these colors are going to react, but I still get the true bubblegum color as well. So that way I have an idea of, the Winter White Santa I dyed with, was it neutral gray? I don't feel like it was neutral gray. I feel like it was, oh, I don't remember now. It may have been this ice blue. No, it wasn't. There were probably a couple of them in there. But, like with the Winter White Santa, I ice dyed it, and then, because I liked the fact that it had little red spots, little blue spots, and things like that, I intentionally wanted my fabric to look like that. So, once I pick out essentially the color family, it's not even really a color family, the reference image that I want to use for picking out the colors that I want my fabric to be on my memorabilia, then I'll decide, okay, what is the color on here that's not going to be in the fabric, that's actually in the piece. And for this one, it'll be this pink color. So then I'll take these, like this is bubblegum, and that doesn't quite match up with any of these. And then I can take the hot pink, not it. The fuchsia, not it. Here's like magenta. And I'll just go through these and find colors that don't necessarily match perfectly. I feel like bubblegum. No, bubblegum's not going to work there. Well, bubblegum might actually work better for this one. Like if we go like this and stick those two together, that's pretty close. So bubblegum will go off to the side. Because I was only focusing on, there's no orangey or yellow shades in here. No greens. Wow, that yellow really like pokes your eye out yellow on the screen. Avocado. Like, see how with the ice dotting, how you get like the splotches, really dark splotches. And then you get like runs of certain different colors and things like that. Like that, I just think that's really beautiful. There's the olive green, or yeah, olive green that I was talking about. How you get the different little spots in it. I like that. We don't have any of these shades. I sort of keep them in a certain order of, kind of in like rainbow order, so I know, I have a general idea of where I'm heading with it. All right, here's some more of these. This is raspberry. And raspberry's kind of close, so maybe that one. Nope. And lilac is more in this shade. Range, no. Mauve, no. Oh, mauve, that's marine violet. Genius. Now this is sort of the dark shade I need. This is burgundy. Let's see what this. See, that'll go good with that color. So burgundy will go with there. This is ecru. I mean, it would just mean that I would have to mix it up better. And we'll have that shade in there. And then fuchsia is sort of close, but not quite. We could probably do a fuchsia mixed with, let's say, I feel like bronze. We can mix fuchsia and bronze together. And it should, we just need to be careful with that to make it come out, okay? So these would be the colors that I would choose to dye with. So these two mixed together to create this color. Ecru for that color, burgundy for that color, and bubblegum for that color. And then this is the main color that I'm going off of in my pattern. So then what I would do is, for the burgundy and the bronze, I would, a lot of burgundy and just a small amount of bronze to get it to this shade. Or not burgundy. A lot of, wow, raspberry and just a slight amount of that. Slowly add this to it until I get something similar to this. And then I would just, if you've watched my how I dye my fabric video, I would do you know, use the bottles, mix it all up, and that's how I would throw it on here, because I wouldn't want like the orange splotches or, you know, these orange and blue splotches. I wouldn't want those colors on there. But that is how I decide which colors are going to get go on the background fabric. But let's say let me pull this back over. Back all that, did I? Nope. Okay, but let's say I want to do a contrasting fabric, and I couldn't find my color wheel for the life of me, because sometimes I put my pieces on fabric that's contrasting, so that way it pops off. The opposite of pink, which would be in the red shade, would be a green color. So let's go up here. and do browse by color. So the opposite of pink would be green. This is sort of a brighty pink. So if I was going to pick any color of green, it would be like an apple green. And then these are all your swatches with the colors on it. I mean, it's okay. You guys can see it somewhat. And then we could go from here. And like, see, this one has, which is 32. That one has sort of my color palette in it. Right there. This one has pinks in it. This is white. It has the pink shades, which are all in this pattern. So this green shade would make all of this go, whoosh. It would pop. Just like in this picture, if you look, this green, because it's surrounded by so much pink, really makes these, it enhances the pink. So then I would dye something similar to this color, which let me go to my green fabrics here. Wait, I don't want to mess those up. Those are going over there. Going into my green shades. Here are my green shades. Alright, so we have aquamarine, that's not going to do it. Teal's not going to do it. Pale aqua, that's not going to do it. None of these shades are going to do it. Let's see if we can get... That's not going to do it. So we have like emerald green or bright green here. And they're both not quite that shade. There's a little more of a hint of... this is a little more neutral in shade. And a lot of people will wonder, well, how do you get that to be a touch of neutral? Well, I would take a touch of... a little bit. And you would have to do this very, very carefully. Actually, carmine red into this emerald green in order to get this shade, because this shade has a slight it's a little grayed down, and in order to calm down the brighter colors, you actually use the color opposite on the color wheel, but you have to add it in very, very tiny increments. So whenever I would mix, if I wanted to use this green, if I wanted to mix this color, it would be a lot of this color, and I would literally add not even a pinch, a little wee tiny sprinkle of the red color and mix it and test it on like a white paper towel just to get an idea. It's not going to be the exact color, but to get an idea of what it's mixing into, and slowly, very, very slowly, with very minimal amounts of this red shade, adding it into this green until I got to this color that I wanted. And that's how I use the different colors that I do have to mix everything together. And that's how you would do the contrasting color, because sometimes I'll put my, I believe, Blossom Harvest, is that what it's called? It's yellow. Let me see here. Oh, his tablet is so slow. All he uses it for is to play games with, so it's not... Is it Blossom Harvest? I don't feel like that. Yep, it's Blossom Harvest. Like, they have her... Whoa, what are you doing? They have her stitched on a very neutral fabric. Oh, I don't like this. I have not used this tablet in forever, and I'm not used to it. But they have her stitched on a very, very neutral fabric. And I'm pretty sure for her, I have her stitched on... I'm going to be stitching her on a very... I believe it's purple, because it's the opposite of this yellow. But let's say, like, what I did with her was I used her yellow shade. And go back up here to the top. Search by colors. I just use purple. And these are the purple colors. And this one has a yellow in it. So you can just pick from these different shades of purples to get your yellow shade. But I don't feel like it was, I feel like it might have been on the second one here. This is volume 2. Purple. I think this might have been the one I used, because I think I just did the dark purple. And you don't have to use all the colors in here, but usually what I do is I'll find a shade that matches the color in the pattern for one of these. Like, you know, this pink matches in with these pinks here. And then you don't need to use these other 4 colors. You could just go with this ecru if you wanted to and be fine. You could go with this bubblegum pink and you would be fine. You could go with the really dark shade. You would go with that shade. But it also, if you flip the card over, actually they call this peach. So with ecru, we might add a little bit. We might add like a touch of bubblegum or something to it, just to give it a slight pinky shade. But it also, like, these are your shades. So if you need to use this like this to match up the shades you need to use, because it goes right up to the edge, you can. And then it also here gives you sort of what do they call it? A tonal value of it. So there's a lighter shade and a darker shade. A lighter shade, darker shade, lighter shade. And down the center is the one that's actually in this image. So you can even shift it to whatever color on either one of these sides, and it'll still look nice. But again, you don't have to use all these shades. You can just use one color. You can use 2. You can use 3. You can even add some of this color that's actually in the picture. But I would do selective placement with that and make it so that way it's more sort of like a vignette, sort of. Like have it sort of halo out here in the corners of the fabric. Because you don't want your floss to blend in when like you're doing all these colors. So you try and keep, you know, you could keep that main color out of the road. But that is how I pick my fabrics. And hopefully, I better get out of this because my husband won't know how. I'll shut it back off for him because he had it off. But that is how I pick what colors and stuff can go with your fabrics. It's also maybe also but I will link where you guys can buy these color cubes or the color catalog if you don't want to buy the actual cubes itself. I actually find these more helpful just because they have the different tonal variations. It's easier to match things up. You can even, like a lot of people do what they call a floss toss. You could gather up the flosses for this and match up the flosses to, you know, particular colors in here, in these shades. So that way, you can really pull out which colors you want. So that way it gives you sort of a reference and an idea of what colors will go together. Because most of this stuff is found in nature. And when you look at nature, it always looks... It doesn't look artificial. And that's a lot of times people have a hard time with when they're painting or picking fabrics and things like that for their cross stitch, or things like that. That they will struggle with picking out the right colors. And this just gives you an easy tool where they've already picked out the main colors in this and threw them down on a reference for you, so you can really get into it. And like I said, I mean, can you imagine having like a sampler on white fabric with just these shades, like a long dog sampler, like maybe Pandemic or something, with just these shades? And I mean, it would look gorgeous. And it just makes life so much easier to be able to pick your fabrics and stuff like that. So I'm gonna set, we picked out what colors we're gonna use for that. I'm gonna set that over there. Anyways, if I didn't explain something well enough, feel free to comment down below and I will answer everything to the best of my ability. If that's not good enough for you, you can email me at bhutton165@gmail.com. I can converse with you there. If that doesn't work, you can also do it on Instagram, and you can find me at Brittany Cross Stitches, all one word, on Instagram. Or, like I said, leave a comment down below. That's how you guys can get a hold of me, and I can help you figure this stuff out. But there are a few people, if you're like me and obsessed with memorabilias, that I want to let you guys know about. I'm sure most of you know about them, but Cross Stitch the Globe just did a memorabilia whip and stash parade, and it came out last night at like 9:30 or something like that at my time, and I needed to go to bed, but I stayed up and watched the 2 hours, so I'm a little tired this morning because I couldn't help myself but to sit there and watch it. There's also the Needleberry Stitcher. She has a memorabilia floss and whip parade. Fiber Arts Amy. She has an amazing memorabilia whip parade. I think it's 5 parts. I've watched that a couple different times. Kitschy Whips also does it. There are so many of us out there that just love memorabilia. It's just not even funny. Stitchin' Mommy. I mean, there's so many of us that go out there and do that. But hopefully this will have given you guys an idea on and be helpful on how to pick out colors of your fabric. Again, if you're not hand dyeing it yourself and you're just if you're buying hand dyed fabric from somebody, you can always ask them. You could always match these. I put them all away. You could always match these colors with floss, and then you can always ask the dyer. Email them and be like, hey, which one of your fabrics are closer to these colors? Can you match it up to the floss colors and figure out which colors are closest to these, so that way you can, get a good fabric that way. But I really don't think I have anything else to tell you guys at all. But that is everything, I think. I think I explained it okay. I'm not really good at explaining things, but I hope it's helpful. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.